I had this like notion that, oh, well, when I have money, I will be happy, or when I look a certain way, I will be happy. And so that like lack of confidence really like was ingrained in me throughout every decision that I made. I went to all of their events. I took all of their programs. The difference was, Yami, and I think like if, when someone's listening to this, I implemented everything that I learned.
You're like playing in the big leagues now. And so there's
Yeah.
no time to be like, oh, I'm not worthy. Like you've probably had the thoughts, but like it's like a 30-second thought and then boom, move on to the next thing.
Every decision you make shifts like how your day goes, shifts how your life goes. On my flight home from in October, she sends me a voice memo and says, hey, there's an opportunity to acquire, create, and cultivate. Would you want to do it with me? We'll go 50-50 on it. You operate and you're the CEO of the company. I watched people, men and women, but specifically women, hold themselves back from applying to jobs because they don't think they're fully qualified for, going up to someone and speaking to them because they don't feel like they're fully qualified. Like that is what holds us back.
Welcome back to Better Than Before. I am so excited for today's show. This one is so near and dear to my heart because I have personally known our guest for so many years, from our bodybuilding era to our businesswoman era. I have seen her grow and flourish into this amazing businesswoman, and I could not be more proud. Not only is she a gem of a human, but she is truly so inspiring. From founding and growing her successful company, Empowered Confidence, to becoming the new CEO of Create and Cultivate, Marina has consistently championed women's leadership and personal branding. Join me as we explore her entrepreneurial journey, the decision to pivot from founder to CEO, and how she plans to expand the impact of Create and Cultivate. Get ready to be inspired by her wisdom, passion, and strategic vision. Welcome, Marina.
Oh my God. Can you send me that intro? Because that was so good. I'm like, I only want people reading this intro moving forward. Oh my God, that was so good. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, thank you. I know we've been trying to do this for feels like forever, and she's a CEO now. So it's so hard. It's so funny because we used to talk all the time, and now it's like, I have to talk to your assistant to get you.
It's actually really funny. I connect my assistant to my husband when I want something work related, and he'll be like, don't you dare ever send me to your assistant. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, she's more than a and he was like, I
Yeah.
don't care. You want something, you reach out to me directly. It's so funny. But yeah, it's life, so it's okay.
That's so funny. No, I love it so much. It just goes to show like you are, I feel like you've always been busy, but now it's like a whole different like category. And now it's
Yeah.
freezing again. Now I'm going to think about what you just said. We
Yeah.
were offline and she's like, this thing freezes and now I'm going to be nervous. Okay. Anyway, so a little bit of backstory between of Marina and I. So we met, I don't even know what year it was. It was
I think like
Boston,
2017.
the Jay Cutler
Yeah, 2017 in
bodybuilding show.
Boston. Yeah.
Yes. And we were both doing our own separate thing, but I met her at this event. It was like a bodybuilding show. Were you competing at the time?
No, I was like training to compete, but I was working at Yahoo at the time.
Yes, which we'll get into. Yeah, we met, we hit it off. Marina's Egyptian, and I just like fell in love with her. Like, I mean, we know Middle Eastern people, like we kind of connect, and I'm like, I love her. And so ever since then, I've seen her just do all these amazing things. And I'm gonna let her talk about her journey, but I wanted to give a little bit of context how we've just I've seen you evolve through so many different parts of your life, and it's been so inspiring, and it's just I don't know. So let's just get into your story. If you want to give us a background into what you mentioned Yahoo and how you landed as the CEO of Freaking Create and Cultivate.
Oh my God. Well, even when you say that, like 8 years, we are different humans. Like we
Totally.
have just evolved into like we're so unrecognizable from
Yeah.
what 8 years ago was. And I think that to me, and we can talk about it also, but like that is such a beautiful thing, and I think it's also really hard because it's so expansive. Like, I am such a different person. You
Hmm.
touched on, like, how busy I am. Like, I am so busy that it's not like, "Oh, I'm busy, no, no, no." Like, my time is so limited lately, and it's I reposted on my story. It's like, I prayed so hard for
I
this.
saw that this
You
morning.
know, like I'm dying, but like I prayed so hard to get to where I am today. And I think
Yeah,
sometimes because that looks so different than what maybe you anticipated it to look, it's like it can be overwhelming. But so we can talk for hours about that. But a little bit about me. So you highlighted that I'm Egyptian. That's a such a big part of kind of who I am and how I show up. I was born and raised in Egypt. I came here with my parents when I was 8. And I truly believe I get my work ethics from my parents. They're,
mhm,
immigrant parents. That we didn't have anything when we came. We were in and out of family homes and, really struggled, but I didn't really know anything else outside of just like working.
mm,
And which is so ironic because hustle culture is, trying to get canceled or it's like a big thing.
yeah,
And I was like, it's truly how I got to where I am today and,
yeah,
just watching my parents really, like, build from scratch, but I grew up really conservative. The dream was to come to the States, to, get married, to have a family, go to
right.
college, and just, like, live my life, and so if you know me, I love to, live outside of what society wants me to live outside of,
Same.
like, that box, I was like, "Oh, perfect. You want me to do what? Okay, I'm not gonna do that."
I'm
But,
gonna do the
um
exact opposite. Thank you very much.
exactly. And I was actually it's funny, like, reflecting back as, like, a child, I think that I was definitely, I lacked a lot of confidence. I think people would look at me and say, "Oh, like, she's so confident, she's so this." But I really, like, really struggled with confidence, and that always came from lack of money and resources that my
Mhm,
parents had. And so I
yeah.
had this, like, notion that, "Oh, well, when I have money, I will be happy," or, "When I
Mm,
look a certain way, I will be happy." And so that, like, lack of confidence really was ingrained in me throughout every decision that I made. And so I went to school for criminal justice originally. I did my internship at a maximum prison in
it's so
Cranston, Rhode
insane.
Island.
Every time I hear
So
this, I'm like, "What?"
so funny. And so like and then I realized really quickly like it wasn't for me. And so I pivoted into marketing. And my big dream was always to work for Yahoo or Google. Like my cousin worked at Yahoo. I always admired her. And so I kind of went through this path that my parents had like paved for me of like you go to college, you graduate, and I did. I moved to New York because it was my dream, and I really again lacked that confidence, and so that's when I got into bodybuilding. For me, the way I looked really was so tied into my worth, and so I
Totally.
wanted to get abs, and I was like, if I
Yeah.
have abs, I'm going to be so hot and so confident, and it
And
was
how
like I have
yeah.
never felt lower.
I know, totally. And I could relate to all of everything that you're saying because coming from that lack mindset, you always think that it's everything on the external that will make you happy and that will fulfill you when in reality that's furthest from the truth.
100%. And so truly like struggled there, struggled with my worth. I got into a really toxic relationship and ended up finding myself pregnant, married, and divorced all within like 8 months. It
Wow.
was the wildest experience at 23.
Wow.
And as someone that like grew up in the church and was like again really conservative, only child, my whole family are like very 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 successful professionals in all different industries. I was like, Flip, like, what am I going
Yeah.
to do? Like, what, like, and that was kind of my pivotal moment. And
Was
so
it kind of like how did I end up here type thing?
yeah, and it was
Yeah.
kind of like, it's really uncomfortable when you know how you ended up
Mm,
somewhere, you know?
mm.
Like, I asked myself, how did I end up here? But like, I knew how I
You
ended
know,
up
yeah,
here.
you chose everything. And that says a lot about you as a person for taking that accountability and having that self-awareness because it's very easy to fall into that victim mentality and be like, "Oh, woe is me. How did I get here?" Which I mean, I
Totally.
think there is space for that too and like grieve and feel what you're feeling, but also I think you need to have that accountability and that acceptance that the decisions I made did lead me here. So, I mean,
100%.
kudos
And
to
I
you.
actually like I own that every day. I'm like like every decision you make shifts like how your day goes, shifts how
Totally.
your life goes. And it's so interesting when you really think about it. And so I decided to move home from New York, live back with my parents, which is again such an ego hit. Took a
Was
year
that in
off.
Boston? Where were they?
Yeah, in
Okay.
Massachusetts. Yeah. they're in the suburbs. And so we went from like living in the city to living in the suburbs. And it was something that I like my soul needed.
Yeah.
I moved back home in like my childhood home that my parents have. And like,
Oh,
for a year my parents helped me raise Sebi. I took a year off of work. I went to therapy. I worked out. Like I really took care of like myself and him. And, I ended up applying at Yahoo for a job. It was so random. It like landed in my inbox and my cousin made a referral because she worked there.
right.
And I had no digital marketing experience besides my degree. And I ended up landing the job. And I was like,
Amazing.
whoa, like it was
Yeah.
just such an amazing experience. And it really, I always say like I live in this sweet spot between like idea and fear. Like if I
Mm,
have the idea, like I saw the job and I could have I made a 10-page list on like why I'm not qualified to have this job,
yeah.
but like I didn't, and I was like, "F it, I'm going to apply, I'm going to do it," and I ended up landing the job, and so that will like
Amazing.
full story into kind of how I got to my CEO role now, but, yeah, ended up landing a job, worked there for, 4 years,
I just
supported
want
so
to
many.
cut you off for a second because I
Yeah,
think a key thing to note is how you said that you did the ego thing and you went back to your parents' house to work on yourself, raise Sebi, who is actually the cutest thing in the whole wide world. He is your twin. It's insane. But I think you like, let's just say in quotations, you took a couple steps back to get ahead
yes,
because you were able, and thankfully you had your parents, right, that were able to like help you and take you in and everything. But I think it's almost like you're being rewarded for doing the work. Like, yeah, you don't have the skills, quote unquote, for that job, but like you are working on yourself to get better, to get out of this hole, AKA, and you were rewarded. I don't know if
yeah,
that makes any sense, but I just feel like when it's almost like you get ready so you don't have to get ready, you know what I mean? You've heard
mhm,
that? It's like you're
yeah,
doing the work behind the scenes. You don't know what's going to come of it, but when that opportunity presents itself, boom, you got it because
yeah.
you've been doing the work behind the scenes.
100%. I love this concept and I say it to my team all the time. Like, we have to slow down so we can
Mhm.
like fly forward. You know what I mean? It's
Totally.
like think about
Yeah.
a boomerang, like pull back, like really like take yourself back, take yourself out of scenario because it will really change the trajectory of your life. And I love that. I love that you said rewarded. Like I always said I was rewarded with Sebastian, who is such an easy, like truly such an easy child. He was an easy baby. And I was like, God knew
Mm.
that I needed this. Like I could not have a hard baby, like he was so easy. And so, and he still
I
is.
also
And
want to say easy does not like easy in the sense of like children are difficult as
no,
it is.
yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I do want to give that note because Luna was also an easy baby and but it was still challenging.
Yeah,
So
100, yeah.
for those of you that are like resenting us right now because we have easy babies, it was still hard, okay?
No,
But
truly,
also
and
like
it's funny, it's like, as a single mom, I think do you know that meme where it shows, like, when or video when your husband is home versus your husband is not home? When your husband's home, you're like, "I can't
I
lift the
can't do
table."
anything. Yeah.
And then when your husband is home, it's like or not home, the table's on the back your
Yep,
back, and you're
yep,
doing and
yep.
it's like, that was kind of my mindset. I had no other option, and so,
Yeah.
like, I do think back and of, like, the nights that he woke up in the middle of the like, to me, that was like, I had no choice,
You
and so
right,
it was
exactly.
just the thing to do. So I love that you
Totally.
called that out because it is true. My cousin will be like, "That was not easy. Like, what are you
No,
talking about?" And I was like,
not at
"He
all.
was such a good kid." She was like, "Yeah, because you
Especially as a
loved
single
him."
mom.
Totally
Like
different. Yeah.
I had somebody else on the podcast and she's a single mom as well, and I had to give her her flowers and giving you your flowers too because I cannot imagine
Yeah.
like that is a whole different ball game. So you're probably looking back with like rose colored glasses and like, oh yeah, you remember the fun times and like the easy times, but I'm sure. Ay,
Totally.
ay, ay.
Yeah. No,
Anyway,
totally.
back to your story. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel that note so much. And so, but anyways, so yeah, so I landed the job. I worked at different departments at Yahoo, supporting all of their properties for Yahoo, Yahoo News, Tumblr, and I loved it. So like it was just amazing. I got all of the experience that I felt like I needed at the time, and then I got laid off in December 2019. And thinking about this like victim mentality, I realized at that point like I just didn't have that in me to play as a victim like ever. It was so interesting. Like I quickly pivoted. I got laid off on a Tuesday. On Wednesday, Matt and I were sitting down being like, what's our plan? Like,
Right.
what do I want to do? Do I want to go
So
out on my own or do I want to like
find a
go
job.
work? Yeah, find a
Yeah.
job. And I took the leap and went out on my own.
And so you said you got the job when?
So I got the job at 2016.
Oh, so you were there for 3 years.
Yeah, yeah, so
Okay.
it's 3 years, yeah, so 16 ended so beginning of 16 ended literally, which is so funny, right before COVID. Like,
Right.
December, whatever, 2019, I got laid off,
Right.
and it was crazy just thinking about it because I did decide to go out on my own, and I
Yeah.
started Empowered Confidence. Empowered Confidence was always meant to be an events business, which is so
Yeah.
ironic now, and I
Literally.
remember, like, Googling, events businesses or women, communities, and I found Create and Cultivate, and Create and Cultivate to me was, like, the the
The
North
epitome.
Star,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, that is what I wanna build. That's the community that I wanna build. That's the impact that I wanna make. It was
You
so insane.
no, your whole story is insane. So I sent Marina over like a little question thing to kind of help her like what I want to talk about. And I titled it, I never title my podcast before I had the podcast. I don't know if you saw this, but I titled it Marina and Yami Better Than Before. And then I put a Cinderella story because her so okay, let's back it up. Okay. So that's when Marina and I started getting closer, I would say, is when she got laid off. I still followed her. We followed each other, but it was she was in the corporate world. I was already kind of doing my thing, or trying rather. And we both got married. I think your wedding is the day after mine, right?
Yes, yeah, and we were
Um,
going through COVID together. We were going through,
yes, we
like,
went through COVID
yes.
together. Yes, yes. I had many a panic attacks, and I don't say that lightly. It's like I actually had panic attacks. And Marina was somebody that we like kept in touch during COVID because we were like, I don't know how it happened. I think it might have been our wedding that was like we
Yeah,
had like similar dresses. Our wedding was like the days like one day apart. And I will never forget, we were on the phone one day and she was like, oh, I think I'm going to buy this business course. And I'm like, what? Like,
yeah,
why? You're gonna waste your money on that. Like, I've heard all of these people, essentially ripping people off, and it worked out for her, thank God. But I was so it was, and she was like, "No, I've got nothing to lose. We're just gonna take this money and spend it, and then I'm gonna go out on my own." And then that's when she did Empowered Confidence. And I'm gonna let you tell the story, but I'm just gonna say when I saw Instagram and I said, "I'm sorry, who is your CEO?" I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" It's like my life was like I had nobody to talk about this with. And I was like, "Taz, sit down."
it's so crazy on me, and it's so crazy even to think about that because the course was such a also pivotal moment in my life,
Yeah.
like, I launched this events business, Empowered Confidence. The whole mission was to support women building confidence. I
Yeah.
felt like every decision that I had made, good or bad, stemmed from the confidence for me to either be able to do it or not be able to do it, and
Right.
so once I did that, and then the world shut down, I'm like, "What the hell?" Like,
Yeah.
again, And so I ended up taking this course, and I was like, "I'm going to take, like, my knowledge and put it into a program," and that sold out really quickly, and I was able to grow my business, but it was a lifestyle business, like, and I think that that's really important to call out because a lot of people like, I used to call myself a CEO, and the CEO that I was for Empowered Confidence versus a CEO now, I was never a CEO. Like,
Right.
I just wasn't. As much as I would like to pretend that I was not.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to be. I had a lifestyle
Right.
business. It was amazing. Like, just like it was growing. I was comfortable. I could do what I want. It was my own schedule. Like, it was just a different ball game. And so,
Totally.
and that was great until I got like I felt really stagnant. And so I was building my courses, I built my masterminds, my retreats. Again, life was good. And I was literally driving. Oh, sorry, I
I
have to
love
add
this story
I
so
was
much.
I have to add that. So throughout those years, so 4 years of me building, sorry, 3 the first 2 years of me building Empowered Confidence, I started going to Create and Cultivate.
Yes.
2021 was my first Create and Cultivate. So that means a year into being an entrepreneur. I
Yep.
went to the New York event in October 2021 and I was like, "Wow, not only do I like." I actually didn't even think I wanted to build something like this because it was so massive, but
Yeah.
I was like, "I wanna speak on that stage." That was my
Yeah.
biggest dream,
Yeah.
and I remember writing it down, and I'm like, and I remember seeing Jacqueline Johnson, founder of Create and Cultivate, my current business partner and best friend, and I looked at her, and I literally beelined it away from her when I saw her at the event. I was like, "I have no value to add to this woman." I made this story up that I just, like, was not
Yeah.
good enough to talk to her. I wasn't smart enough to talk to her. I wasn't at the level that she was. And I literally walked away. And then I
Mm.
sent her a DM after, and I was like, such an amazing event. Like, I didn't have anything of value to say to you. So I didn't say anything. And she was like, what?
You
I'm
said
like,
that?
always, girl, I have no filter. I'll say whatever. And she was like, "What? Say hi next time. Like, thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming. Like, this is why I build these communities." And I was like, love her, like obsessed with her. And I made it a point. I said, you know, I will take a percentage of my revenue for the business and I will put it into flying to every Create and Cultivate event. I want to meet women there. I want to connect with people. I want to learn. And I also want to hopefully speak on stage. And so I did that for a year. I
Wow.
flew to LA, to Austin, to New York again. I went to all of their events. I took all of their programs. The
Wow.
difference was, Yami, and I think like if, when someone's listening to this, I implemented everything that I learned.
Right.
And that is a big part of this story because
Totally.
like, you gotta implement it did the work, you know?
Yeah.
And so I ended up meeting someone that connected me with the talent team on site, and she was such a gem, and, we were kinda it was just beautiful to, like, how our friendship is, like, find women that just, like, wanna help you advance with
Yes.
no ulterior motive. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, I have
Yes.
no reason to, ever not support someone. So anyway, so connected with talent team, I would follow up. I'd be like, "Hey, I saw this, session that you have. I can provide value in this way. Here's what I can teach," all
Okay,
of
so
this
I have a
stuff.
question for you. I feel like I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions because I don't
I
wanna
love
miss
this.
this. Right now, you just said that you reached out saying, "I have so much value that I can provide." What do you think was the difference between, and I know that speaking to Jacqueline, the founder of Create and Cultivate, versus speaking to this talent person, um, you have an end goal with the talent person, but what was it that you're like, "Oh, no, I have so much value that I can provide," that allowed you to say that to her, but not even say hi to Jacqueline? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so Jacqueline was at a different level for me. Like, for me, I just looked at this and by the way, so at this point, Jacqueline had exited. She sold Create and Cultivate to private
Okay.
equity.
Okay.
And so she's a two-time exiting founder. Her last
Right.
exit with 22 million. She's like a beast. Like, you can just
Literally.
tell she's working. Like,
Yeah.
she's so sweet and she's so smart and she's so funny. Like, all of these things that I was just like, I'm not wasting this girl's time. Also, that's not her job to get me as
Right.
a speaker. Like, there's someone that has that job. And I think for like me, that was kind of my thought process of like, I would say hi. I started saying hi to Jacqueline when I was at events. I just quick highs, like, "Hi, how are you? I came from Boston." She's like, "I know who you are." And I would keep it moving. Like, that was it. And then what I did for the talent team is I emailed, they didn't respond. I emailed again, they didn't respond. I went to their schedule. I took their workshops off the website and I picked 3 that I felt like I could really teach. And I said, "Hey, like personal branding, marketing, community building, here are the 3 things. Here's how I can provide value. Like, let me know if it's possible."
Wow.
And,
And you don't
uh,
know if they have a speaker for this or not.
no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. And so I was just like, I'm shooting my shot. Like,
Yeah.
here's how I can provide value. I took the work away from them
Yep.
where that was an important part is like, I kind of made it really easy. They didn't have to think about like, where would they fit me? So they eventually responded back. They said, I would love for you to have a mentorship program, a mentorship session, talk about building your personal brand. And it was crazy, like, literally crazy. It was exactly 1 year after I went to the event.
Insane.
So I did that. I met Jacqueline in person again. We took some pictures. I introduced her to Matt. Sebi was there. It was, like, so beautiful. And then I left, and that was over, and I crossed that goal off,
Right.
and that was
Say,
it,
what's
Yami.
next?
That was it. Like, that was literally I was like, "Cool." Like, that was my goal, and one of my friends now mentors and actually investor in Create and Cultivate. I remember her sending me a text being like, "Great, you've accomplished that. You crossed it off. Now dream bigger." Like,
Right.
literally, she was like, "Dream bigger." I'm like, "Great.
Okay,
I'm
so wait,
tired."
going back to what you were saying about always having these external factors to feel worthy or feel, let's just say, different, more confident. After doing that speaking engagement, were you kind of like on a high and you're like, oh, I'm finally worth it? Or was it kind of like, because I don't know if you could relate, but when I do things like this, I work it up so much in my mind and I'm just like, okay, like
Yeah.
I'm not a different person now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so it makes me kind of reframe my thoughts moving forward when I want something or I'm aspiring to something. And I'm like, I'm not going to be good enough until I get that. And then I get it. And I'm like, literally the same person. Does that make sense?
It's so funny that you said that because I worked myself up so much. I thought nobody was going to come to my session. Like,
Yep.
and I talked about this during the session. I was like, I formulated the story, and I think our mind is, we forget how important our mind is. Like, I made a story to the point where I almost made myself so sick,
Yeah. Oh,
the
yeah.
day
Oh,
of,
yes.
and so, and people were lining up for the session. It was packed. They had no more room to sit. It was so beautiful. And I just think back to it and I was like, why do I keep telling myself these stories?
That's
Nobody
it right
else,
there.
nobody else has made that story true. Nobody told me that I wasn't worthy. Like maybe some like shitty ex-boyfriends, but like
Right.
that's it, like that was it. Like I was trying to convince myself that I wasn't
Right.
worthy. And so that didn't establish my worth, but I like to say like, I like proof. So when I'm looking for
Yes.
my confidence, I just like to look for proof of things that I've done, things that I've been
Correct.
able to accomplish, feelings that I was able to have, like, and think back of like, when was I the happiest? When was I the most confident? And like,
Yeah.
that was definitely one of those moments where like, I felt like I was in my power. I was standing there.
Mm,
I felt like this is what I was meant to do, is to like, again, support more women at this scale. It just like,
yeah.
even thinking about it gave me goosebumps. And, for the amazing humans that are listening, like, you'll know when you're in the
Yeah.
right place, when
Yeah.
you do this, that one thing that you're like, whoo, that was a big one.
Yep.
You'll know that, like, oh, I'm meant for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, so again, that was like a big milestone. Career was going great, and I was driving this like random time I was driving. It was March of 2022. So just a few months after I had spoken.
So,
And
okay.
yeah, few months after I had spoken at Create and Cultivate. So I spoke in October. In March I was driving and I had this thought.
And at
I
this
was
point, you and Jacqueline are not really friends.
No,
Okay. Okay.
we don't know like, we know each other. I had her on the podcast in January of 2022. But that's it. Like, I talked to her for 45 minutes on a
And that
recorded
was
podcast.
purely like a not a business exchange, but literally a business. It was like, "Hey, I'd be honored to have you on my podcast." And she said, "Yes." And holy moly, you're doing this.
That's it.
And okay, great.
Literally,
I
that's
just
it.
want to make sure that this story that she tells you hits home the way it needs to hit. This woman, they were not friends, okay, people?
I messaged her, I emailed her, I was like, "Hey, I'm coming to LA, would love to interview you." I flew to LA to interview her,
Love it.
and 2 other founders. I was like, started my podcast, she did it anyway, and I was like, "I'm gonna interview her." So that was January. March, I'm driving, and I have this idea of like, I've been making great impact, and I've supported so many amazing women. How do I take it to the next level? And I had this idea of, what if Jacqueline Johnson, I used to always call her by her full name, Jacqueline Johnson, and I started a mastermind. She has the network. I have like the business background
Yeah.
when it comes
Yeah.
to masterminds, courses, and digital curriculums. And so I sent her a DM, and my DM quite literally said, "Hey, I want to ask you this before I talk myself out of it. Would you be interested? Have you ever thought about starting a mastermind?" She responded like pretty quickly. And just, so now knowing her, it's like, I love her so much. It's like, she's just so cool. And it's
Yeah.
like, she's responded so quickly and was like, "Hey, yeah, I have. Like, what are your thoughts?"
Wait, but are you gonna talk about the thing?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And so at this point, I'm flipping out. I'm
Right. You're
sending
like, what the heck?
screenshots to my group chat being like, "Jacqueline Johnson responded. Like, what now? Like,
Yeah.
oh God,
You're
I
like,
gotta like."
I just had an idea. It's not really flushed out.
And it was really like, again, when you think about it, it's that sweet spot between
Yeah.
idea and fear. Like, there's so many reasons why I shouldn't have messaged her,
Yeah.
like, or it wasn't a good idea or whatever. So I sent her a voice memo, and in my head, I'm like, I want to make sure that she knows my worth
Understood.
in this, and like my accolades. And maybe I didn't exit 2 businesses, but I know how good I am. I know how hard
Yes.
I work, and I know that I'm smart. And so she had launched a fundraising masterclass, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." She did minimal marketing effort. Now knowing her is very funny. Like, so she launched this mastermind or masterclass for $3,000. Within a week, she dropped the price to $900. So my head, I was like, this girl can't sell this program. I could sell this program in a heartbeat for her. And so in my message, I was like, hey, like, here's a little bit background. This is how much revenue I've made. This is how many women I've supported. This is my profit margin. I saw that you launched a fundraising masterclass for 3K. Then you dropped the price to $900, which I assume you couldn't sell it. And mind you, I'm talking shit to her on my phone. And I'm like, here's how I can do it. Da, 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 da. This is what I think. She responded back a voice memo and she was
Oh
like
God.
laughing. She's like, yeah, like I didn't really put the marketing effort in there. Like it's selling, but I just, whatever. She was like, would love to jump on a call. Like, here's my email. Like, let's do it. And,
Insane.
insane. And literally now we talk about it and she's like, I listened to that and I was like, this bitch,
Bitch. Yeah.
like literally kicked me and like or like stabbed me and then it was like
Yeah.
want to go into business together.
Yeah.
I think the crazy part too was like I end up like talking to her. We find out like Ali Webb, founder of Dry Bar, is also interested, and our whole focus was building something called the Blueprint Mastermind
Amazing.
to support entrepreneurs, 50 entrepreneurs to take their business to the next level, really help them like get access to other entrepreneurs that have built, sold, and exited their business. That was our full focus. Like, how do we give women more access to those people?
Mm,
And we did that. And in the process of doing that, so again, timeline.
right.
January, she was on my October, I spoke. January, she was on my podcast. March, I slid into her DMs. July, we launched the Blueprint Mastermind. Our first event happened in October. On my flight home from in October, she sends me a voice memo and says, "Hey, there's an opportunity to acquire, create, and cultivate. I know this is a crazy idea. Would you want to do it with me? Uh,
What the I'm getting goosebumps all over again.
would you want to do it with me? The caveat is like, we'll go 50-50 on it, and you operate, and you're the CEO of the company."
Did
Girl,
you die?
I'll never forget it. So I had this is the only reason why this part is so important is because it just happened. I had a first class
Mm.
ticket. Okay. I was laying down. I'm like, this is a dream. I took a red eye home. I'm like, this is amazing. I get this message. I want to fly up, but I can't fly up. So I have to slowly get myself up to sit up straight so I can like really understand what this message said. And so I obviously played it really cool. I was like, yeah, like that sounds amazing. Like I just need to know more information. Like, why are they selling it? What are they selling? Blah, 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 blah. And
Right,
like
right, right,
my
right.
business mode came in. And so it took us about 3 months. Jacqueline had to step out of the process, because she was on the board, and so
Mm,
I led the deal. I, negotiated, worked with the lawyers, read the contracts. I mean, I had never done this before, and
insane.
in 3 months, we acquired the business. We acquired the assets of the business, and so, um
What does that mean for those people that are not in the business world? Like, can you layman's terms?
yeah. So you can buy the business, meaning you buy the entity. So if you have an LLC or a C corp or
Right,
whatever, you buy the entity. That means you buy the trademark, you buy the social media, you buy the email list, you buy the debt that the business has, you buy the employees and the structure that it
right.
has, all of that stuff. But because Create and Cultivate for 3 months had essentially changed their business model, all they
Mm,
were selling was the email list, the trademark, and like any of the assets. So like the website, any of the
got it,
tangible things that
got it.
that makes a business. And really when you think about it, what makes your business worth something is the data that you have and the data and the people, like the
Right, the
community is
community. Yeah,
that's what you buy. And the
yeah,
brand. The brand is so obviously
right.
worth so much. And so we bought the business in December 28th, 2023, and we started building it from scratch. We built rebuilding it from scratch. We thought about like, how can we make this better? What is, our big vision? What does a team look like? What worked in the past? What didn't work in the past? And like really started building this dream company. And, Create and Cultivate is the largest events and
Mhm.
media company for women in business. We have one of the largest communities. Over 1.5 million women are in our community and like globally, and we're
Insane,
growing. It's
insane.
crazy. And it's such a beautiful, like, beautiful community. And so it's so cool to just think about kind of the mission that I started with and now
Yep.
where I am. It's like that's never strayed. It's always
No.
been focused on like advancing women. And it's yeah, we do it at I just do it at scale now, which is so fun.
Insane. I'm just so proud of you listening to your story all over again. I'm just like shook. And it's now like it's so funny because now I'm like, oh wow, I have nothing of value to add to Marina. She's like
Not
CEO.
true. Not true at all.
But I have a question. When you were handling all of the negotiations and buying it and everything, did you feel secure in yourself? Were you faking till you make it? Were you feeling any sort of imposter syndrome? Like, give me all the tea.
Yeah, so I'm so grateful for Matt, my husband, who supported us in this. And like, it's a different dynamic when you are, and this is a fact, when you are a woman doing transactions like this versus when you are a
A
man. Matt
man.
is also happens to be a white man.
Right.
It's a different world. Like it
Yeah,
really,
totally.
really is. The playing field kind of levels a little bit more. The tones change a little bit more, and so um, that being said, I knew that that was a very real thing because we felt
Mm,
it right away,
yeah.
unintentionally. I don't think people do this intention. I don't think everybody does this intentionally. I
Yeah.
think this is just how society is set up. And so there were so many things that I didn't know. Like I didn't know what a valuation was. I didn't
Mm,
know what, you know, buying an asset was. I didn't know any of these logistical things, but I had to learn it really quickly. And I think the biggest thing is we would be surprised how quickly we would be surprised how much we actually do know.
right.
We would also be even more surprised to know how quickly we can learn things when we put ourselves in very expansive situations and
Mm,
scenarios. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Yep.
you force yourself to learn very fast. And so I learned very, very fast. And I asked a lot of questions. If you know me, you know I will ask questions until I'm blue in the face
Yeah.
because I wanna make sure I master whatever it is that I'm doing, and I'm never embarrassed to ask a question. Like, I never feel like a question is too stupid. I slow down and I'm like, "Sorry, can you clarify this?" Or, you know, "What does this mean?" Or, "What's a different scenario?" And I like to play that. I think the hardest thing for me during that situation and any legal side, my brain doesn't naturally work in worst case scenarios, and when you're doing contracts, everything is always in worst case scenarios.
Wait, your brain doesn't work in worst case what's that like?
No.
My brain only works in worst case
No,
scenarios.
I mean, that's great from a business perspective because you're always protected, but for me, I'm like,
No, I
why do
don't
we
want
need a
it.
yeah, but it's like,
Yeah,
why do I need a clause to do that? We would never do that, and they're like, "You would
right.
never know," and I'm like, "What? Like, what
Yeah,
are we"
yeah,
you know? And so, it's actually very funny, and there is something so beautiful about, like, being new and that
yeah,
naiveness, like,
yeah,
you never get that back. Like your first few months, years as an entrepreneur, like it's so beautiful because it's so bliss and you don't
yeah.
know. You just and I love that stage. And I always like to learn new things so we can always stay in that like naiveness, like childlike mindset, you know?
I love that perspective because I think for anyone listening and myself included, I feel like, "Oh, I don't know this, so I can't be a part of that room," or
Yeah.
if I ask a question, I'll look stupid, I'll look dumb, like, "How does she not know that?" And, I am in the business world, but it's kind of like you and empower like it's just me. So I
Yeah.
don't have to report to anybody. I don't have to like answer these questions that I have no idea. So like it's always kind of scary. Even talking to you, like when I asked you like what does that mean? It was because I don't know. And I just said it. I was like, in case the community doesn't know, it's I
Yeah.
don't know. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's really refreshing to hear you say that. And it's kind of giving permission to people to like it's okay if you don't know. And it's what you said, like no question is stupid. And I think we just
Yeah.
have to go back to our childhood and remember that because we don't know everything and that is okay. And I
Yeah.
think if you have that mindset of asking questions and loving the journey and appreciating it for what it is and how you said it was just so beautiful. It is truly just a beautiful journey and like I can't even imagine being in those rooms and like it was like and I'll say this, it feels like you stepped into, like, where you belong. Does that
Mm,
make sense? Like,
it's really
it's
sweet.
crazy to see because excuse me, like, if somebody who did not know Marina and like, "Oh, she's a new CEO," don't know, like, anything about her, but, like, as someone who has seen your journey, it's like, Oh, she's there. She's good. She's made it. Like she's home, if that makes sense. And it's just
That's
been
so sweet.
so incredibly beautiful to watch. And I'm just so happy and proud of you and what you guys have done already in what is it, less than a year? A year?
Yeah. No, year in December, so we have some time. We're not at a year yet, but I want to just one, thank you. I love you so much. You're so sweet. And then the other thing I was going to say is like, I think we need to remember like, how are we supposed to know something? How are
Right.
we supposed to know something we've never done? Like, why
Right.
would we even tell ourselves that we are supposed to? We don't. I've never done it before. I
So
don't
then,
know.
okay. So when you were feeling these things, did that like was there a little voice in the back of your head that was like, I shouldn't be here. I don't know
No.
this. Like, I love that.
I was like, "I'm not going anywhere. This is what I want. Like, let's go. This is what I'm saying. I prayed so hard for this, so now I'm like, shit, I'm tired." But I remember, like, I was like staying up late. Like, Matt and I were looking at these contracts. Jacqueline and I were like, "Shit, like, what are we gonna do?" Like, it was such a insane 3 months,
It was just like
insane.
getting it done.
We were like, we gotta get it done. And like deals like this, especially in deals like this is crazy. Like buying a business, selling a business, raising money, any second it could change.
Yep.
Any second, which means that the lawyer fees that you're still going to pay, you got to pay them. It
Right.
means like the time that you spent, it's gone. Like it's just so much. And so all we were thinking about was like, we just got to do it. We just got to do it. And I would say like even talking back about worth, like when we were touching about it earlier, it's like it still didn't feel like, "Oh, I was worthy of this," but I was just like, "I'm here. This is what I do. This is who I am. I can
Right.
do this." And I think it took a lot of internal work for me
Mhm.
to like just keep reminding myself of that. And it takes a
Yeah.
village, like support of like my family and my friends and being able to be vulnerable of like, I'm terrified. This has been a rough week or this has been a great week and like
Yeah.
really owning that.
Yeah, and I love that, and it's also, like, you don't have time to think about that. Like, you don't have time to be like, "Oh, I'm not good enough." Like, you're doing actual like, this is real stuff. This is not like not to put your empowered business wow, words, empowered confidence business down or mine even, like, because you were by yourself, like, you're, like, playing in the big leagues now, and so there's
Yeah,
no time to be like, "Oh, I'm not worthy." Like, you've probably had the thoughts, but, like, it's like a 30-second thought and then boom, on to the next thing. Honestly,
totally.
it's giving Martha Stewart vibes. So you guys shared the I died when I saw that.
We've had such
She
amazing speakers at Create and Cultivate. Martha Stewart, Kim Kardashian, Kourtney Kardashian, SRA, like you name it, we've had them speak. It's unbelievable. But like, yeah, Martha Stewart was asked, we're friends,
your BFF.
if she has imposter syndrome. She's like, no, like,
Yeah.
and she essentially was like, you should be so busy doing the things that you're doing that like
Right.
you don't have time to think like, am
Have
I
time to think
worthy
about it.
enough to be in this room? I will say one of the most important things that I think is like going into every year, going into every month, it's like I do an audit of the rooms that I'm in, and I
Mm,
always ask myself, like, did I outgrow this room? Have I
mm,
outgrown this season that I'm in? Have I outgrown these people that
mm,
are supporting me or that are not supporting me? Like, what have I outgrown? And I don't think that, let me rephrase, I didn't do that until 2022.
mm,
2022 was the first year that I felt like I have outgrown these spaces, and it
mm.
wasn't a bad thing. I just,
Right.
like, those spaces gave me everything that I needed to move into that next room, and I didn't have everything I needed to go into that next room, but I
Right.
had a little bit, and as
Right.
long as I could just get into those rooms and I watch people, men and women, but specifically women, hold themselves back
Yeah.
in from applying to jobs because they don't think they're fully qualified for, going up to someone and speaking to them because they don't feel like they're fully qualified, like and that is what holds us back. That
Yeah.
is where that if we can stop doing that, I truly believe, like, the gap will get a little bit smaller
I
in terms
totally
of, like,
agree.
where women are and where men are. There's way more work to do, but, like, that's a big, big aspect of it. It starts with us.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally agree. And you're gonna get everybody coming up to you now at Create and Cultivate events because Marina said.
I do, and I love it. I think I hug too many people to the point where I'm like, "Did that person want a hug from me?"
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I feel like I cut you off in your were you done with your story?
Yes.
Okay, great. I was like, wait, because I just don't want to miss. Like, I forget. I swear I have ADHD or something,
No,
and I
that's
just
it.
don't get
No,
it
we
out.
bought the business. We're almost a year in. It's been unbelievable. We've launched different programs. We're launching the world's largest festival for women in business in
I cannot
2025.
wait for that.
Like, it's going to be unreal, and, like, just like people go to South by or Adweek or CES or Cannes, like, Create and Cultivate, this festival will be what women need to go to every single year to advance in their business and career, to meet people, to find out resources, like,
When is
everything,
that?
and I'm so excited. It's July 19th and 20th in LA, um, 2025. That'll be the
Amazing.
first one. We do it every year, and it'll get bigger every single year.
I will say, you just asked somebody to be a speaker at South by Southwest, and I'm so excited.
Can I tell you, like, it was such an easy yes for me and the team. Like, so Create and Cultivate has worked with you for a few different campaigns at this point, and it's so beautiful just to see the work that we have you support us on, because it's like it's just you. Like, you don't have to be anybody else. Like, you're just so amazing. Like, truly, like, you
Aw.
lead with purpose. Like, it's just amazing. Like, we get so excited to work with you because we know what we're going to get, and, like, having you on this panel at one of our largest events was, like, a no-brainer, you know?
That
Like,
is so
you've
kind.
just
I literally shat myself, sorry.
we were so excited, and just, like, again, like, thinking about the questions we're gonna ask you when it comes to, like, business and motherhood and just, like, life in general. How cool is it that you have built your brand and your name and, like, your purpose in life, that when people think about building their purpose in life when it comes to, like, your business and motherhood and
Yeah.
all of the things, they think of you. Like, that's amazing.
Oh,
You should be so
that's
proud
so
of
cool.
yourself.
Thank you. It's kind of weird to hear people like say that because I'm like, "Meh," I'm just I don't know. I just get like kind of like
But don't, because
I
it's
know,
so
I know.
beautiful.
I will say it does hold me back. I because my entire life I've been like, well, you don't want to be too cocky, you don't want to be conceited. Um, I want to like I want to be relatable to people in like the sense that like if I can do it, you can do it type thing. And I
Yeah.
never want to be like not holier than thou, but like, you know what I mean? Like I don't ever want to give that impression, but so it's really hard for me to accept compliments is what I'm trying to say.
You should just say thank you and be like, "Thank you," and keep moving. I'm also
Thank
working
you.
on that.
Thank you. But no, I am so excited for that panel. It's for South by Southwest. And is there anything that you um, see for Create Cultivate in the future that maybe would surprise people? Or is there anything that you want to change or add
Yeah.
to Create and Cultivate to just keep making it better and better?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest difference about Create and Cultivate now versus the future is that we support women from launch to legacy, from ideating to exiting. And so
Mm,
every milestone that this woman is in, whether she's just starting out, she wants to grow her career in corporate, or she's been in business for a while and she wants to grow her business, or she's ready to fundraise and doesn't even know where to begin, or she's a mom and wants to connect with other amazing like women, we are going to have products and experiences for her. So whether it's retreats, masterminds, content, educational experiences, or the large scale events, that's going to be the biggest thing. Every event you'll see now, starting with the festival, will be all data backed and AI powered through our new algorithm that we've developed. It's called Connect, it's our program. So, what
wow.
this does is when you attend an experience, an event for Create and Cultivate, specifically starting with a festival, you'll create a profile and it will match you with the people that are looking for what you're looking or can support you with your goals
Wow.
and vice versa. So imagine the dating app, but in a professional setting. And so you
That is
as a
so cool.
founder, yeah, you as a founder would want to meet maybe a funder or an investor or maybe a mentor, maybe a buyer at Walmart or Target,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? And they want to meet a founder that is creating a athleisure line or has a fitness app or that is a mom. And you guys double opt in. So this person says they want to meet you, you want to say you want to meet them. It notifies you and you can set 15-minute meetings in person at the festival. And so we
That
will
is
have
actually
I
insanity.
know, we're gonna have over 10,000 meetings at the first festival, which is so insane, and
I
yeah, the
that
ROI in that
technology. is just insane.
I'm so excited, and really, like, when you think about it, the return that you're getting from just attending that one event will change the trajectory of
Oh,
your personal
totally.
and professional life, you know, and it's so cool. I'm so excited.
And this you're talking about this for the festival in next year, not the South by Southwest.
No, yep, so
Okay.
it will kick off, it will officially launch at the festival, it's gonna be really, really powerful, and I just can't wait, and then it'll be integrated in every single one of our events.
That is just so cool. That is a
Mhm.
game changer because for me, I have been looking for a mentor or like, and it's just like, where do people find these people?
Yeah.
It
No, it's
just feels so
hard.
out of reach. And it's just like the person I want, I don't have that network. So something like this is going to just be a game changer for so many people.
Yeah, I'm really excited, it's gonna be awesome, and I can't wait to have you there.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's funny. I was just thinking about this when when you announced you were the CEO. I was like, "Oh, Fit Club will be at Create and Cultivate." I was
100%.
like, "I am putting it out there." And I was like I was doing my makeup and I was like, "You guys get ready for when I announce that."
But how cool is that? Like, it's just so awesome that you know that will happen. Like, it will
Yeah.
happen. I'm not
Yeah.
even like, and when it happens, it's gonna be unreal, and now you're speaking at
Totally.
Create and Cultivate. It's like
I
these
know.
milestones is just really, really cool.
It's insane, and, I'm just so excited and everything that you've been doing and how you've been supporting so many women. I also have to say, like, when I had my event, Marina was also having an event, and I, like, voice messaged her, and I was like, "Help me. What do I do?" And she was always so gracious, and it's just really cool to see really good people in these positions, and I'm just gonna say there are people that are in these positions and these companies that say they're about empowering women and helping women. And at the end of the day, personally, they're not like that. This is from experience. And so to
Yeah.
see somebody like you who has that purpose, like ingrained in her and now pouring it into the company, it's just like number one, a perfect match, but also really refreshing to see that, like, oh, yeah, she's in it for this. Like, this is actually what it is. It's not about the title and the money, and it's literally the same purpose in a different vehicle, and that's now Create and Cultivate.
Thank you. I love you so much. That's so
No,
sweet,
you were
and I
just
know
the
that
bomb.
I know people that do exist like that, and I think that, like, we're just on here to serve others, and if
Yep.
you're not doing that, you're just only going to grow so far.
Yep, totally. And we've been talking for almost 55 minutes, and I didn't ask you any questions that I had for you, but I think you've answered a bunch of them. So just make sure you
I love
have your journal or your notebook to talk about all these key points. But I need to know, like, the granular, like, what time do you wake up? What's your morning routine like? How do you do it all? You're a mom. Sebby's 8 now?
9.
9, and crazy. So
Tragic.
tell me, tell me.
Yeah, so obviously I'd shared like how insane the past year has been. And so
Mhm.
my routine before and my routine now looks really different. And so I believe that we live in seasons. And so
Yep.
right now I'm in a busier season. And so my mornings look different than they traditionally do. I wake up still pretty early, like 6 o'clock. 5:30, 6 o'clock is when I wake up. I'll doom scroll for a second in my emails, like catch up to speed. I used to try to be like so hard on myself before that, but I was like, I really need to. Like, it makes me feel good to be able to like know what is ahead in my day, like
Yeah.
catch up on all the things. And then I go work out. I get Sebby's stuff ready for school the day before. I come back from my workout. I get him ready for school. Matt's getting ready. I make Sebastian breakfast, and then they both leave the house at 8, and that's kind of when my day starts. And so I'll shower, I'll do all the things, and I'm probably at my desk at like 8:30, 8:45, and then my day is just like pretty slammed from there in terms
Yeah.
of like actual work that I have to do. My dad recently got sick that I shared on Instagram. And so a big part of my day, whether it's like early in the morning before I start working or afternoon, I go to my dad, I help him with his medicine, make sure he's like up to speed on all the things. And so that's another layer of things that have, from a personal side has been there.
Oh my God,
Um,
wait, I feel so horrible. How's he doing? I should have asked you.
no, don't be. He's doing great. He's getting
Amazing.
better. He's
Good.
so if you didn't follow along, he recently had a stroke over in over the year, so 2004. And so but yeah, that's another layer that I just like
Yeah,
added into
totally.
my day to day. But one of the things that I would say I would do that really has helped me is on Sundays I take a look at my week and I
Mhm.
always block off any personal stuff. So basketball, baseball, lacrosse, soccer, whatever Sebi has going on, that's blocked off. That's a non-negotiable. Like
Yeah,
I've
she is a
moved
mom first. Yeah.
I'm a mom first always. And that is something that I think is really important that sometimes women have moms have guilt over, and it's like don't. Like that is an important part because I'm able to do that. I can pour into work. I can pour
Right.
into my dad. I can pour
Right.
into all of the different aspects. And so I block those things off and then my schedule is kind of open for the rest of the time. I live through my schedule. If it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. Period. Like it will not happen. Like even if I know it in my head, if it's not there, it's not happening.
Totally. And so, sorry, I know you have to go, but so
No,
I'm
I'm
just
fine. I
like
can do
asking
it.
questions. So, what do you think is, I forgot already. Frick. It was, okay. It was about your scheduling now versus when you were
Oh,
on empowered confidence.
yeah. I was gonna say like, and maybe you'll think about the question exactly, but essentially what I was going to say was before I had so much flexibility because I didn't have employees. It was just me, and so what I used to do is, like, time batch, and so
Yep.
Mondays were all for content creation, like, I was creating the content, I was writing the emails, I was editing, I was reaching out, you know what I mean? Like, I was
Yeah,
doing all of
I
those
get it. Oh,
things.
I know.
Yeah, I was doing the trainings, I was doing the coaching, I was traveling, I was pitching myself to, different outlets to speak, and so just thinking about every single aspect that I did, and I definitely outsourced some things, like, I had a VA for a little bit, like, editing
Yeah.
YouTube tight like, whatever, like, little things, and so I think that schedule was more, themed out, so some days were for content creation, some days were for writing, I needed to be in a different mindset to write captions or to write
Yep.
emails,
Yep.
to write newsletters than I did to take pictures, you know?
Yeah.
And so that schedule was a little bit different, and then on top of that, I felt like I just didn't have as much pressure because it was just a lifestyle business, which was amazing, like, it wasn't just a lifestyle, it was, like, exactly what I needed in my life,
Right.
you know? And
Right.
so, now it's a bit different because I do have a team, I do have investors, I do have, 20 we have to plan for the year ahead before it even, like, begins, and so, our business also runs on, like, partnerships, we have amazing
Right.
partnerships, and so securing those budgets, so it's just a different type of business, which allows me I still have structure in my schedule, but it's just not as flexible as it used to be.
Right. And then, so I'm going to try to ask this question the way that it makes sense. Do you find, you mentioned the businesses are different, obviously, but do you find that it's almost easier now because you have a team and you have other people helping you move the needle forward? Whereas with empowered confidence and being a solopreneur, essentially, you literally wore all the hats. I'm not saying what you're doing now is easy. Do not misinterpret this, but is it more like, because sometimes in my head, I'm like, if I had help, this would be so much easier.
Yeah, it's so crazy you say that because it's such a good point. So, the reason why I will say no, but I
Okay.
think the answer will be yes maybe next year or the year after is
Mm,
it's actually really hard to explain to someone what you have in your head or how you want them to do
literally.
it, to then
Yes.
do it. So
Yes.
that has been something that I've been working really hard on is because I can do all the things. Like
Yeah.
I can do the marketing, I can do the
Yeah.
I can sell, I can get on, but I physically can't do all of the things
Right.
to scale to the point where I want to. And so as a solopreneur, why it was easier was because like I just did it. I needed a
Right.
website built, I did it. I needed it, and I
Yep.
did it. Like, it was like, "Go, go, 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 go." It actually takes so much time to train a team, to get them up to speed, to, check their work, to make sure that they're doing it right, and to teach them, and then also to support them mentally
Right.
throughout the process. And so it's a little bit different, and I talk about, like, I have a leadership coach now. I'm in therapy. I'm doing all of the things because I wanna be the best leader. Like,
Yeah.
I just wanna be a really, really good leader that, like, actually leads and, like, that's hard. That takes work. That takes years, and,
Totally.
like, I'm learning, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. That's why I haven't hired, because I think about like, I have to train you and like
Hard.
try to elaborate on what I want, and I'm just like not good with words. And it's
Yeah, but
just like,
it's so expansive and, like, everyone should, and, so you had said something earlier, and I forgot exactly what it was, but I wish I knew the things that I know now as a venture-backed founder and CEO, or as a venture-backed CEO as I did when I was a founder.
Mm,
Do you know what I'm saying? So I wish I was so integrated in my P&L and like my profit and loss sheet when I was a solopreneur.
mm,
I wish that I built out a go-to-marketing plan for every product that I had when I was a solopreneur. I wish
mm.
that I knew how to talk to investors and what
Right.
numbers were really important and to build a pitch deck and get really clear about my mission and my vision and get really clear on the direction that I'm going. Like I have exact plan from 2024 to 2028 and 2030 for Create and Cultivate, right? Like, will that happen? Will that change? Of
Right.
course it'll change. But
Yes.
like
Yes.
every dollar, every Zoom subscription, every penny that the
But I
business
think
will
that
spend
But I think that's what people say when they say, you need to get help because if you're not working, what is it, on the business, you're working in the
in the
business, and
business.
it's not
Yeah,
because you truly would not have to. I don't have time to do that right now, like because I'm doing every little thing, and so it's so interesting. Yeah, you need help, but then it's easier if you're a solopreneur. But you want to know the P&Ls, and it's just there's just so much, and yeah, like you said, we're still learning. Like I'm still
still
learning,
learning.
and it's just a lot.
I know. I know.
It's just I don't know, but
But
this has
we
been
get to do this. I always say,
oh,
like,
totally.
my motto, and like that really does get me through the day, even when I'm saying it like laughing or saying it when I'm crying. Like, I get to do this. I don't have to do this. At any time, I
Totally.
could go get a full time job. Like,
Totally.
and I think as entrepreneurs, we forget that because it feels very much like we have to do it. And at times, like we probably do have to do it at this point, but like we get to do it.
Yeah, no, that's something that I say to myself multiple times a day because there's just no way I can go back to corporate. Like I
No
there
way.
you can't pay me. There's no amount of money that someone can pay me. Maybe I'm just kidding.
You're like, actually, if you're
No,
listening to
no,
this,
no, no, because yeah, no. But no, you're right. There's always for me anyway, it's always like there's something more to do and I don't turn off. And so I am essentially working more now than I would in a corporate. And it's very nice to like clock in, clock out. But at the end of the day, this is what I want to do. And like you said, this is what I get to do. And you just have to keep reminding yourself that even if you're driving yourself crazy and everything that needs to happen, I am blessed to be able to do what I'm doing. And so,
totally.
yeah, no, totally. Okay. So, um, do I want to ask you? I feel like we answered all of these questions.
What are some
Um,
of them? What are they? Like,
um, what mindset shifts have you or have been crucial for you for your growth? And I think we talked about it. Like something that like a theme woven in through your whole thing is that um, number one, you're not scared to pivot when you need to pivot, and number two, you're crazy. You're batshit crazy in the best way. Like
I really am. Like, I
no,
really am.
no, and I
I'm like,
love it.
I love risks. I love
Yes.
taking
And
risks. I love betting on myself.
yes, that's what I was gonna say. The theme with you is that you bet on yourself, and even if it doesn't go as planned, you're like, great, on to the next. But I'm sure you've only shared a lot of the positive things. I'm sure you have a lot of the negative things that you've been through that hasn't worked out. Um, but it's a really good reminder because I think I used to be like that, and then something got lost along the way, and I don't know if it's the imposter syndrome or like social media and comparison, and um, but
And I think
was there
Luna too, like having Luna, like for me,
Oh,
it does,
totally.
you know what I mean? Like I think I don't want to discount the fact that when I got laid off, and it's funny, even again, when you talk about mindset, like I talk about being laid off as if it was like the the pivotal moment for me.
Yeah.
I was hysterically crying. It was the worst day ever. Like, it was so bad. It was such an ego hit. It sucked. Like, my whole
Yeah.
team got laid off. I was like, "This sucks. Like, this is a shitty feeling." I also have a child. How am I taking care of my child? I
Right.
wasn't married at the point. We were planning a wedding. Like, it was terrible. But I
Yes.
had 2 options. Do I, like, lay on the floor and keep crying, or do I get my ass up and figure it out? And,
And
like,
figure it out.
I owe it to my child to figure it out, and so, that being said, taking risks is very scary, and I feel every fear of it. I jump on the calls, I get anxiety, like I do all of that stuff, and I think it's also because we do have children, or
Yep.
like you have bills and you have a life that you want to pay for and all that stuff. So it's like, oh, do I do it? But like the alternative is just so stagnant for me. And
And
I
that
think,
is the scariest thing
yeah,
for
I
me.
think for me, it's scarier to be stagnant than like take a risk and have it not work out.
Totally. I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Because like what is I something I like to do is to say, what's the worst that can happen? And then you just keep asking yourself that question until you get to
Exactly.
like literally nowhere. Like, what's the worst that can happen if I don't get this job? Nothing. I
You're still in the same place.
literally. And then you just keep asking yourself this question and you realize it's kind of like what you were saying about the facts. Like you have the facts now, like make some moves. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah, I will say that having Luna changed that about me. Like I don't have time to sulk. Like I gotta stand on business and we gotta make
truly.
things happen because that's what happened with me with Tone It Up. They sent me an email like we're canceling your contract is expired next week. And I said, I have a year left, sir.
That's
And
crazy.
so, yeah, no, it's crazy. Having a 4 month old and it was insane. So I was like, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to start my own app. So here we are.
Yeah, and nobody would ever think that that is, because I'm sure it felt terrible. I'm sure you were scared. I'm
Terrible.
sure like, yeah, I'm sure it was like, what the hell am I going to do? On the outside, no one would have known that. Everybody
No,
saw
yeah,
you as this like beautiful soul that was like building your business and successful and doing all this stuff. And it's like those two things can be true. And I think if I
totally.
learned anything in 2024, because, again, and we talked a lot, and I've been thinking about how I wanted to like formulate this to share it publicly, but like 2024 was one of the highest years in my career professionally.
Hmm.
It was I reached so many different milestones. I accomplished
Totally.
so many different things that I didn't anticipate. At the same time, it was also one of the saddest years of my life. Like
Mm,
seeing with my dad in the ICU for over 40 days, like
yeah.
I have never felt that type of pain ever, truly
Yeah.
ever in my
No,
life.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I think what was really difficult for me and what I've been working through on therapy is like, how do you have those two feelings, those like the duality of
Right.
sadness and happiness? And so for you, it's like you are successful and you are thriving and you are growing your business. And you also are really annoyed that you just got your contract terminated and you're so sad and you're so unsure and you're so nervous. Like those two can
Yeah.
coexist. And I think
It's that
sometimes like,
tension there.
yes,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. And I think that like I just don't ever want someone to feel like they shouldn't feel happy for the happiness that's in life, or they shouldn't feel sad because they can't like, you can feel those 2 feelings, and it's okay, and 2 things can coexist at the same
At
time,
the
and
same time.
yeah, that's a difficult thing. That was a difficult thing for me to learn this year. I was like, "That I don't know what's happening. Am I bipolar? Am I like, what's
Right.
happening?"
Right.
And it's like,
And that's something that they don't talk about often. Like nobody
no.
talks about that. And it's especially being a mom too.
Yeah,
And also depending on what journey or what season of mom like postpartum, like don't even get me started on those hormones and like just, you're so happy, but you're so sad. And so yeah, it's just learning about and accepting, I should say, accepting that two feelings can coexist, even more than two, to be honest. Like
yeah,
that's just like, and so it's really interesting to when someone said that for the first time, I was like, huh. It was like they're giving permission to either be happy or to still stay in my sadness, but still like whatever I was grieving. And then, for instance, like me having the miscarriage and then getting pregnant with Luna, like I am still grieving that. Like
yeah,
I think about it every day, but I'm still so happy that I have Luna. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And those two feelings, I'm still grieving, but I'm still so happy and so, I mean, I could talk about her forever. I'm not going
yeah, I
to.
love it.
um,
Truly.
so yeah, if that's something that you've been struggling with, think about it and sit with that because I know like I said, when I first heard that, I was like, it was like a mind blowing, like, oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a
Crazy.
hard thing to swallow. It really
Totally.
is, but it's part of life, and it's gonna happen so many times, and it's just like you just go through it. You just gotta keep going through it. That is the only thing that I would say.
I think that what makes it hard for me, and I don't know if you could relate to this, having immigrant parents, like if you were sad, if you were sick, you could not be happy. Like
Yeah,
if
you c
you
or like you couldn't feel your feelings. Like
also
I
true.
like yeah, I like teach my mom to like, "Hey, you upset me. that doesn't mean that you now don't talk to me for a week. Like, you
Yeah.
can call and apologize, like you can say sorry, or just like talking about your feelings. Like, it's just not a thing
Not
that
a
we
thing.
did growing up. Like,
Yeah.
saying I love you. My dad now tells me I love you every day. And I'm like, Dad, you haven't told me I love you for 32 years. I'm uncomfy. Like, and I knew we know we love each other. Like, my
Right.
husband tells his parents and sisters and siblings, like, I love you every second. I'm like, okay. I tell Sebi I love him
That's
all
so
the
funny.
time. I
Yeah.
tell Matt, but like my parents, when they say I love you, I'm like, are you okay? Like, why? So it's just like the way you grow up really does
Oh my
all like,
gosh. Yeah.
change the way you show up. It's just like it is. And so, yeah, I'm just working through that and working. Yeah, 100%. Being an immigrant is a whole other ballgame.
We could have a whole different podcast on being an immigrant.
Truly.
Like, yeah, you're right. My parents don't, it's not a two-way street in an immigrant household. It's definitely just a one way.
100%.
Okay, but I want to be respectful of your time. I want to ask you one last question, and I feel like this entire podcast was one big, great piece of advice. But what is one piece of advice that you received that made you better than before?
I really have been mulling over this question, um, over and over again, because I was like, what is that piece of advice? And I think maybe it wasn't just advice, but it's like, I guess it was advice. My biggest thing that I feel like has been helped me become better than before has been this idea of trusting myself. Like,
Mm,
I remember someone being like, you just have to trust in whatever decision you make,
mm,
because the more decisions that you're able to say yes to, the more like decisions you can make, literally you will be better than before because you will
right,
have learned. And
right.
so I have trusted myself to like reframe what failure meant. And
Mm.
failure is just data. Like, that's all it is. Like, every single thing is just data, and I use that to be better than before.
That's so good. That's definitely, I needed to hear that because that's something that I'm working through right now. It's just like, how do I know I am making the right decision with
You don't
anything?
until you do it. That's
I
the
know,
whole
I know,
thing.
I know,
And,
Marina. Stop yelling
like
at me.
but, like, that's like, that was, like, my aha moment. It's like,
Right,
whatever happens, like, failure is just not a thing. It's just
right.
information. Everything is data. Like, whether you go on a date and it's a shitty date, great. Why was it a shitty date? Figure that out. You get in a fight with your partner, you lose money in business. Like, what happened? Collect the data and make a better decision
Yeah,
after,
that's
so
so
you
good.
can literally be better than before. Like, that's
I
the
love
whole
it.
point.
Oh, thank you for just tying that in there. I love it. You're taking those leadership classes or something, or interview.
Oh
That
my
does not
god,
get past
I
me,
love
girly
you.
pop.
Oh my god, I love you.
No, I love it. This has been so amazing. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. So thank you so much for just taking time out of your busy, hectic day of, running the craziest, most amazing women owned. Like, I still can't believe it. Like, when you pop up my feed, I'm like, where is she now? Oh, Singapore. Cool.
Honestly, one, I'm so grateful for you. You've always like just like been a ride or die for me. I appreciate you. Know that I will always support you in everything that you do. Like, it's just so cool to also see you shine. Like,
Oh,
we're
thank you.
doing this together, and it's
Yeah.
it's been such a privilege, and thank you for having me, and I'm just so grateful.
Wait, before you go, where can everybody find you and Create and Cultivate?
Yeah, so Instagram is where I live, Marina A. Middleton. Like, I am in my DMs. I will cheer you on and be your hype girl
Yep.
always. So definitely DM me, especially if something like resonated in this episode. Like, share
Yes.
that with me. I love, love, love. This is why I get on these podcasts and like do interview, because I get to connect with people on a deeper level. And then createcultivate.com. You will find all of our events. I would love to see every single person listening at the festival, July 19th and 20th, 2025 in LA.
Also, the event in March for
Yes,
South by
that's a free
Southwest
event.
is free. Yes.
It's a free
So,
event.
yep.
It's Future Summit. It's called Future Summit, March 9th. We're doing it at Assembly Hall, and it is 100% free. It is first come, first serve. It's a massive event, but like food, drinks, pop-ups, workshops, activations, panels, an amazing panel that Yami will be on. So definitely, definitely come. There's women that are coming from all around the world attending it. March 9th in South by.
What's
Awesome.
funny though is when you first announced it on social, I was like, "Oh, I want in." So I RSVP'd to like be an attendee, and then I got the email, "Oh, do you want to be a speaker?" Oh my god, yes, please, thank you.
You're like, "Please remove my name off the RSVP list.
Yeah,
I will
let's
be
have
there
somebody else.
in the green room resting my
I'm
voice
dead.
for my
I'm dead.
panel."
I love you so much, Marina. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you back on because I feel like we just scratched the surface.
I can't wait. I love you. I'm so
Thank you.
grateful for
Love
you. Keep
you.
crushing it.